Night one of WrestleMania started off with an epic battle, a heroic underdog babyface fighting for family and honor, finally overcoming the seemingly unbeatable heel to win the World Heavyweight Championship and cap off a feud that has been building for months. And that night ended with an angle involving a lot of nut shots. What did I think? Well, this is my review of WrestleMania 41 Saturday. Welcome to Silo Voice Wrestling on YouTube and the Silo Voice Wrestling podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jason C. McLean. I'm recording this Friday, April 25th. It's about 7:15 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, it's been almost a week since WrestleMania. I like to get my stuff out in a timely manner, but this WrestleMania review hopefully has a timeless quality to it, so I wanted to make sure I did it right. Whether or not this WrestleMania had a timeless quality to it, well, we'll find out. First up for the World Heavyweight Championship, the champion Gunther defends against challenger and 2025 Royal Rumble winner, main event Jey Uso. We started off with Jey Uso's introduction, a lot of yeet flags, a lot of hoopla, the whole crowd going wild. Jey did do his entrance through the audience as he was doing before he got all, solid and serious. But he was pretty serious, I think, mainly to conserve energy, so he wasn't gassed by the time he got to the ring, considering this wasn't a Raw match, it was a WrestleMania match. But it was still a really electric intro. It's interesting to see it in the daylight. Gunther came out with his usual style, usual serious look on his face. This started as a fight right away, as it should. Gunther did take an early lead. After Gunther only gets a 2 count after a power bomb, he acts frustrated, like he's going to leave and just get himself counted out. He grabs his world title, starts walking away, crowd's booing. Jey decides to run at him, but the referee's back is slightly turned, and Gunther clobbers Jey in the head with the title, and then goes in for the pin, but only gets a 2 count. Now that's atypical behavior for Gunther. Gunther is a heel, but he's not the kind that cheats or needs people to interfere for him. But the interference happens unrelated to his intentions. He'll take it, but he doesn't actively cheat. He seems kind of desperate that he's cheating. The match, of course, continued. They're both a lot of false finishes, back and forth. Really exciting match. I was watching this with my brother who watches wrestling a lot, and a couple of friends that only come in for the big events, and they were all really into it. This was a very exciting match. At the end, though, Jey actually hits a power bomb on Gunther, and then, of course, a number of kicks. He does not one Uso splash, not 2 Uso splashes, but the third one on Gunther's back. But instead of just rolling him into the pin, he puts the sleeper on him, and Gunther taps out. The winner and your new World Heavyweight Champion, main event Jey Uso. Fireworks, yeeting. Jimmy, his brother, comes out, gives him a big hug. They celebrate. Really happy ending to the first match of WrestleMania. I mean, honestly, I felt this match might have worked a little bit better at the end, but still, this was a hell of a way to start off the show. Let's see. For my grading, story, A+. Now, this is a classic babyface heel story with the underdog babyface fighting back against the evil heel, fighting for family and honor and all that. The problem is they had 2.5 months to build a very basic story. So there were some slow parts in the build when Jey was sort of like losing focus. And then eventually there's the stuff with Jimmy came in eventually, but they managed to deal with that extremely long build to a match. And that gave a lot of emotion and realism to this story. And it definitely paid off here. In-ring storytelling, I'm also going to give an A+ because of the choices. There were some very interesting choices. Usually, for example, when Sami Zayn beat Gunther, he powered up at the last bit, still fighting from underneath, but he was doing his own moves. Here, Jey used Gunther's moves. He doesn't normally do power bombs, but he power bombed Gunther. And Gunther, I don't think, ever loses by submission. And also usually when Gunther does the sleeper hold, this becomes his finisher hold, the person just passes out. But that's like a babyface thing to do. You're not going to tap out. Gunther showed himself to be a rattle chicken shit heel, and he actually tapped out, meaning I can't go on. He's the champion. Now, I have seen the Raw that followed this WrestleMania, so I know they're not going to continue with Gunther and Jey for at least a while. Gunther's attacking Pat McAfee. It's weird, but like this was definitely a good end to the story with some good in storytelling. In-ring work, also A+. Gunther's always excellent, but Jey really stepped up his game for this match too. Jey's usually great and flashy with a lot of his moves, but he's not the most solid mat worker. But this wrestling Gunther at WrestleMania, he really upped his game. Excellent work on both sides. Crowd, honestly, it's a stadium crowd. It's hard to measure, but this is one of the matches that the crowd really perked up for. So I'm just going to give it an A for the crowd. But overall, A+. This was an excellent way to start the show. Unlike some people online, I have no problem with Gunther tapping out. It made perfect sense storyline-wise. Just because Gunther's this unbeatable heel, maybe he didn't want to pass out. Maybe that's his weakness. I believe there was a match with Ilya Dragunov, like an NXT or something, where he also tapped out like sleeper. It could be his weakness. This is really good storytelling. And the fact that they flipped the script and had Jey do some of Gunther's moves along with his own, I predicted Jey was going to win, but I didn't think it was going to happen like this. And I'm thrilled that it did. It was really imaginative, really fun match to watch. Excellent wrestling storytelling, albeit classic wrestling storytelling, and a hell of a way to kick off the show. For the World Tag Team Championships, the champions, the War Raiders, against challengers, the New Day. I'm honestly not going to spend that much time on this match. Basically, they came out with gear inspired by Clash of Clans, or at least the War Raiders did. New Day's gear seemed inspired more by Giant Gonzalez at WrestleMania 9. Kids, ask your parents, or better yet, just watch the really hilarious WrestleMania 9 documentary. Very interesting to watch. There were a lot of power moves, of course, and amazing, aerial, big guy, fast moves from Ivar in particular. Always really fun to watch. The New Day were solid as well, too. There was a bit where Eric threw Ivar, a very large man, onto the New Day. I thought that was great. It ended with Xavier interrupting a pinfall and Kofi holding Xavier Woods' foot down to solidify his grip as he got the pin 1, 2, 3 on Ivar. So they won by cheating, and then the New Day scurried off with the championships, like heels do. Giving this one a C for the story. There was a story there, but between these two teams, there really wasn't enough build to it. It seems sort of like tacked on. I think they fought each other once a few weeks ago, and then they fought each other again. It was a rematch. Now, yeah, they did put a lot of work into the New Day's heel turn, but that was several months before WrestleMania, and that kind of died off. And the War Raiders really weren't part of that. In fact, I think the Judgment Day were champions when they originally turned heel. So yeah, bad pacing, bad story build. In-ring storytelling, B+. I mean, they did tell a story with this match. It was clear what the emotions and the motivations were, but it was kind of basic. Nothing really to write home about. In-ring work, A+. I mean, all these guys were great, especially for Ivar. I love watching that man work. And crowd, B-. Overall, I'm going to give this match a C+. It felt like a Raw match. It's the one match on this card that felt like it should have been on Raw. And also, especially considering the WWE Tag Team Championship scene, the scene on SmackDown, it's a lot more developed and potentially could have led to an exciting ladder match or something like that. The fact that this got the spot on Mania and that didn't kind of affected negatively my opinion of this match. It's not so much there was anything wrong with this match. It's just what match they could have had instead of this. Of course, getting the New Day on WrestleMania made sense. And now hopefully they're going to do something with New Day. If they run roughshod as heel tag team champions, this might be worth it. But as far as this match goes, like I said, it felt like a Raw match. But it was the second match on the card, so no biggie. Next up, Naomi versus Jade Cargill. I'm glad Naomi didn't try her glow entrance because, well, she's a heel now. Also, it was daylight. That always seems kind of funny. Jade Cargill's entrance with the weatherman and the storm was kind of cool, but she just looked really cool. She does look really cool coming out. This match felt like a fight, very fast-paced, very exciting, actually. Jade, of course, had more of the power moves. Naomi was more, high-flying, more acrobatic. At one point, Naomi averted a Jaded and turned it into a bulldog, which was really nice. and Jade caught Naomi out of midair at one point, turned it into a power bomb. Also had Naomi on her shoulders, turned that into a power bomb. Then Jaded 1, 2, 3. This wasn't a long match, but it was a fun match. I'm going to give the story an A+. This is months of build, real drama with the Jade smashed on the hood of the car. Eventually, we find out it's Naomi, and then they started fighting. This made perfect sense on this card. Excellent build. In-ring storytelling, A-. I mean, it was still continuing the story, but they still told the story in the ring with their work. Jade almost getting to do the power moves and then not quite, but eventually getting to do it. In-ring work, B+. Now, even the people who I was with, who didn't watch wrestling that much, commented that it was like, when's Jade? How come Jade's so built up? She looks great, but like, why is she so built up? What she can do is like, wait for it. And she did the power move. So her Naomi is, of course, an excellent worker. Jade is still really great with the power moves and looks really great doing everything. Her work, though, her overall work and, bumps the whole thing, it's improving, but I think overall it has to bring it to a B+ level for in-ring work. And crowd, B+. The crowd was into it, but again, the crowd really, it's hard to get like the correct loudness and the in-syncness with a stadium show. I think they did a bit better on night 2 than on night 1 with the miking, but regardless, overall, this match gets a B+. I don't think it's the last time we're going to see these two together, and I think Bianca's going to come into this story at some point, Bianca Belair. But this was an exciting match to watch. It was fun to watch. I'm glad I saw it. It definitely belonged on this card. Wasn't the best match of the night, but it was definitely one that I looked forward to and was not disappointed in. For the United States Championship, the champion LA Knight, defends against challenger, the Samoan werewolf, Jacob Fatu. Fatu came in with a werewolf mask, but LA Knight, not to be outdone, back to overdo it, was driven in a sports car. The sort of gull wing doors open. I haven't seen one of those since the DeLorean, but his music hits, entrance in style, fun WrestleMania entrance. There was a lot of back and forth at first, a few, 2 counts. In a really exciting spot, Fatu's doing the moonsault, but LA Knight catches him midair, turns it into a BFT. Would have gotten the 3 count, but Fatu put his hand up and grabbed the rope. I mean, perfectly legitimate way to do it. The crowd was split. Eventually, though, Fatu overpowered, hit the moonsault. 1, 2, 3. Okay, for the story, I got to give it a B-. There really wasn't that much build to this match. There was build, but it seemed kind of all over the place. It took a few weeks for us to actually get this match confirmed, the correct match. I was thinking somehow Solo Sikoa was going to be involved, or it's going to be a 4-way or something, but no. We got the right match with a kind of a awkward build to it. In-ring storytelling, definite A. They definitely told the story. This could have been a squash match, and I think it wouldn't have hurt LA Knight that much because Jacob's that powerful, or seen as that powerful, but I'm glad it wasn't. I think they did a really good job of telling the story. In-ring work, A+. Crowd, I'm going to give it an A. The crowd was, it was a split crowd at one point, but they were a loud crowd, and they were definitely into this match. Overall, I'm going to give this match an A. This is the match that we needed to crown Jacob Fatu as U.S. champion. I think LA Knight's going on to other things right now. He didn't look bad at all. When he caught Fatu mid-air, turned into a BFT, looked great. But of course, Jacob Fatu, he's got I think Solo's going to turn on him. I think he's going to be babyface soon enough. Also, an interesting parallel, WrestleMania 20 was the first WrestleMania for John Cena. He won the United States Championship against the Big Show, and a year later, he won a World Championship. This is Jacob Fatu's first WrestleMania. He won the United States Championship. Who knows what's going to happen next year? But yeah, no, this was an intense match, a fun match. They did this match exactly the right way to make LA Knight still look good, but to show why Jacob Fatu deserves to be the United States champion. Really fun match. Oh, and it was kind of nice that Haku came down, probably jumped the guardrail at the end to congratulate Jacob Fatu. And then we had El Grande Americano, who's most definitely not Chad Gable, versus Rey Fenix, replacing the injured Rey Mysterio. El Grande had a mariachi band for his entrance in the sepia tone filming. Alicia Taylor said he was from the Gulf of America. The WWE corrected that after a lot of protests to be the Gulf of Mexico. The announcers went back and forth. Apparently, it was like geographically called something different. Pat McAfee said. Regardless, Rey Fenix, I don't think they really had time to put it together all that interesting an entrance for him, considering it was supposed to be somebody completely different fighting this match the previous night, but still got his entrance. The match was good. I mean, we had a lot of aerial moves from Rey Fenix, including that one where he walks along the top rope and kicks his opponent. He kind of fell a bit, sort of twisted his ankle. They said he twisted his ankle. Don't know if he really did. There were some ankle locks. Ooh, gee, it's not Chad Gable from El Grande Americano. At one point, El Grande tried to remove Rey Fenix's mask, which is a big no-no in the lucha scene. Eventually, though, El Grande did a flying headbutt with what's most likely a loaded mask. 1, 2, 3, and he wins. Story A-. It was a decent story that had its build. Of course, they had to make some changes at the end. In-ring storytelling, A+. In-ring work, A+. These are both pros. And the fact that they had to potentially probably had to change a bunch of the match at the last minute to accommodate a different worker, albeit another luchador. They covered that very well. Crowd, B-. The crowd wasn't that into this one. Overall, I'm going to have to give this one a B+. I'm wondering if it might have been different if it had been Rey Mysterio, like if there might have been run-ins from the LWO, from American Made. It feels like almost they might have cut something because they had changed the guy and they maybe want to save this for later. Obviously, they're continuing with this character. Also, kudos to Rey Fenix after your second week in the company, getting a match at WrestleMania against Chad Gable, pretending to not be Chad Gable wearing a mask. Let's be serious. I think they covered very well. I think overall it was enjoyable, but I think maybe it could have been more or maybe a little better without the Rey Mysterio injury. So that might have lost it a few points in my eyes anyways, but still a fun match to watch. For the WWE Women's Championship, the champion Tiffany Stratton defends against challenger and 2025 Royal Rumble winner Charlotte Flair. I love Tiffany's entrance. She came in as a Barbie. Well, she didn't come in. She was in a box with two other boxes as Barbie dolls. Of course, the other two were just, screens. She was the real one. She comes out. And then, not to be outdone, in fact, to overdo, Charlotte comes out in a pink, fancy car, gets out as the queen, the whole thing. Now, this match, despite those entrances, this match felt like a fight and was a fight. It didn't feel so much like a technical wrestling match, which it kind of couldn't be after that promo. A lot of back and forth, a lot of fast-paced movements. Now, it was actually hard to tell who was who because they were both wearing pretty much the same outfit and they were both blonde. I'm partially colorblind. If there was a difference in the shade of their clothing, I couldn't tell. At one point, I was cheering for Tiffany, even though I had predicted Charlotte was going to win. My head said that. My heart said Tiffany, but I was cheering for Tiffany. I was like, oh, that looked great. And then wait a second, that was Charlotte. It was kind of wild. I'm sure they did that on purpose. They were really working. I think Charlotte was working Tiffany really hard. I think she might have lost a tooth. I'm not sure. At the end, though, Tiffany threw Charlotte into the turnbuckle a few times. Slammed her, then did the prettiest moonsault ever. 1, 2, 3, and still your WWE Women's Champion, Tiffany Stratton. For story, I'm going to give it an A. Honestly, the story really picked up with that going off the rails promo, that supposed shoot promo, and I think they used that very well. It was the match everybody wanted, but I think people had kind of lost interest in it. It would have probably been a B- story, unlike the Jey Uso and Gunther story, because it had almost as long to develop. But ultimately, they pulled it out and they made it even better. In-ring storytelling, A+, and I'm going to A+ for the costume design because I think that was intentional that we weren't supposed to be able to tell who was who, and you could tell that you felt like they were really fighting. And it kind of really clashed with their entrances, but still, that worked. In-ring work, A-. This is not the best Charlotte Flair match, technically. And I think Tiffany is still getting better and better, and she's sort of coming up. But overall, I think, yeah, A+, both very solid performances. And crowd, B+. Again, this crowd's tough, stadium crowd. Overall, I'm going to give Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton an A-. Now, it wasn't the best match of the night. It wasn't the best women's match at WrestleMania. For that, we have to wait for night 2, or for Sunday. But it was good, and it was better than I thought it would be. And even though I had predicted Charlotte Flair would win, I think having Tiffany win and looking really ragged, she did not, like, I know that they have like amazing makeup people, and usually it looks like their makeup doesn't run at the end of the match, and that's really good. They probably gave her the normal makeup, so it looked like she was really working. She was frazzled at the end. It was exciting, and I'm really glad she won. And I think at one point Charlotte did Stephanie Vacker's move in the middle of the match, and I hate it. It's like stealing someone's move, and it just makes us hate Charlotte even more. I think Charlotte did an excellent job of being hated, and Tiffany did an excellent job of really working and showing how she was struggling and how she earned this victory. And they both did a really excellent job of confusing us as to who was who. So this match turned out a lot better than I thought it would, and it was a great, I guess, match just before the main event. And in the WrestleMania Saturday main event, the triple threat match, Roman Reigns versus CM Punk with Paul Heyman in his corner for the moment versus Seth freaking Rollins. The intros were great on this one. Seth comes out in like some garbage bag thing with a flamethrower, putting flames on the screens. The lights go down, and then he comes up like, I think he was the Monday Night Messiah at one point, all dressed in white with light shining on him, walked down to the ring, audience cheering his song or singing his song, because even though they're all baby faces, but people just love singing that song. Roman Reigns comes out, and it's cool. They're showing members of his family, of the bloodline on the screens. We used to have the playing cards with various wrestlers. And then CM Punk, okay, definitely entrance of the night. I mean, the Barbie one from Tiffany Stratton's a close second, but CM Punk comes out with Living Color. Well, first they did a video. They did a little video package about juxtaposing 20-year-old CM Punk with present-day CM Punk, and or 24-year-old CM Punk. Regardless, and then Living Color played Cult of Personality. You could see Punk was thrilled. Paul Heyman came out, did the It's Clobbering Time. Heyman gave him a little kiss. That wasn't going to last for long. As far as the match itself, a lot of good working at the beginning, a lot of back and forth. I think Roman ducked out at one point. Two of them were fighting. They fought into the crowd. Seth convinced Roman to do a Shield power bomb with Punk together, but Roman did it by himself. Put Punk through one announce table, put Seth through the other announce table. For the first time, these super reinforced announce tables broke for the first time in the main event of night 1 of WrestleMania. Perfect timing, really make it count. There was no other announce table spots tonight. They break again night 2, but we'll come back to that. But of course, this match is really about the finish and the angle. They're all knocked out. I think there's a stomp. There's a Superman punch. They're all on the ground. Seth's completely out. Punk and Roman start waking up. Paul Heyman goes and gets a chair. Who's he going to pass it to? He passes it to Punk. Crowd cheers. He goes in to help Punk to his feet, and then he's just behind Punk, and low blow. Roman starts laughing, gets up, he gives the chair to Roman. I acknowledge you, my tribal chief. Roman starts hitting Punk with the chair. Heyman's yelling, "You made me choose," reason why he ended up going with Roman. Good character work there. Then he motions to Punk that to Roman that Seth is standing, and Seth is seeing all this on the monitor, so he doesn't have to turn around. He gives him the chair. Roman's setting up to get Seth back for what he did ending the Shield so many years ago. Heyman moves back. Low blow to Roman. Goes up, hands the chair to Seth. Seth eventually takes his time, but hits Roman in the back with the chair. Stomp. 1, 2, 3. Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins stand tall. This one's also getting A+ across the board. Story, in-ring storytelling, in-ring work. And actually, audience is going to get an A. I don't think there's any A+ for the audience on this night. They were definitely into this as much as they were into the Jey Uso Gunther match at the start. Overall, it's getting an A+. It's not my favorite match on the night. That's the first one, but it's a close second. It also was an angle. I mean, essentially, they ended night one of WrestleMania without closure, without something ending off a story, with just sort of an angle pushing it forward. And I have seen the Raw that came after, and yes, they are developing that angle with a Paul Heyman heel faction with Seth and spoiler alert, if you haven't, fast forward if you haven't seen the Raw after Mania yet, Braun Breaker. So it's definitely going places. The entrances were excellent. The work was excellent. And I understand, even though this is not the go home happy thing, this is sort of the, Heyman and Rollins turning heel by aligning with each other. It's weird how that works. It makes sense that you end the night with that. You end the night with the big angle. Was this a perfect way to end WrestleMania Night 1? No. But was I enthralled? Was this top notch? Absolutely. I had predicted Seth was going to win, but I thought Paul Heyman was going to screw up, maybe, turn on Punk to help Roman, but screw up and somehow be taken out, and Seth was just going to win. I didn't think he was going to outright back Seth, but now I think that's absolutely brilliant. And I think this actually was a very good way to end WrestleMania Saturday. And this is how I saw WrestleMania 41 Saturday. Did you agree with my takes, my reviews? Do you have a differing opinion on some? What was your favorite match, least favorite match? Let me know in the comments. Follow at Silo Voice Wrestling on Facebook and Instagram, at Silo Wrestling on X, and me at Jason C. McLean on X and Instagram. Also, my newest social media, jasoncmclean.bsky.social on Blue Sky. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications to get all my wrestling hot takes, cold takes, simmering takes, wrestling opinion pieces, assorted thoughts on Raw and SmackDown, and WWE Premium Live Event prediction and review videos. Well, some of my predictions were correct on night one. I got even more correct on night two, but that's not really what matters. What matters is how I saw it. And yeah, I did enjoy night one of WrestleMania, and I'll be back with my review of WrestleMania Sunday. For Silo Voice Studios in Montreal, I'm Jason C. McLean.